Our bodies are not designed to handle stress for long periods, as I mentioned before. While the stress response is incredibly useful for immediate threat, chronic stress can have serious health consequences. Nowadays, many people face ongoing stress from various sources, like work, school, and personal issues, which can lead to chronic stress. It's a huge problem because prolonged stress can weaken the immune system, cause high blood pressure, and increase the risk of heart disease and mental health disorders. It's become such a huge problem in our society today, which is why I'm emphasizing it so much in this presentation. Long term stress can feel very different from short term stress because it's persistent and slowly deteriorates your body. Symptoms of chronic stress might include feeling constantly worried, fatigued, or irritable. It can make you feel disruptive in your daily life because it's gradually wearing you down. Something definitely needs to be done to combat this long term stress, and I'll go over many solutions to help eliminate it, so stay tuned until the end of the presentation. Think about what some symptoms of chronic stress might be. Long term stress can cause various symptoms that affect both your mind and your body. These include difficulty sleeping, headaches, stomach aches, overeating or undereating, feeling tired all the time, body aches, isolation, and feelings of sadness or irritability. The long term activation of the stress response system and the constant flow of stress hormones like cortisol can disrupt almost all of your body's processes. This puts you at such an increased risk of many health problems, including anxiety and depression. Recognizing these symptoms is the first step towards managing and reducing stress. Chronic stress has a significant impact on our immune system. According to the American Psychological Association, or APA, long term stress weakens our immune responses. And this happens because stress decreases the body's lymphocytes, which are the white blood cells that help us fight off infections. Long term stress can thus ravage the immune system, making us more susceptible to these illnesses. This effect is especially pronounced in older individuals or those who are already sick, as they are more prone to stress-related immune changes. Managing stress is crucial for maintaining a healthy immune system. Let's look at an example of how stress affects immunity. A study found that the stress of a 3-day exam period significantly reduced students' immunity every year. Students had fewer natural killer cells, which fight viruses and cancer, and produced little gamma interferon, which is a protein that boosts immunity. It also had less active T cells, which fight off these infections. And this just shows how even short-term stress, when it's intense, can weaken the immune system as well and make us more vulnerable to illnesses. Managing stress effectively can help us maintain a stronger immune system and better overall health. So now let's watch a TED video on the effects of long-term stress on the brain specifically.
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus-pituitary-adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all, though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news, though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
So, after learning about all of this, even though stress decreases the quality of mental and physical health, it's impossible to eradicate all the stress in our lives, right? What can we do to combat stress? Well, taking good care of yourself during stressful times can be challenging, but self-care is crucial for coping with problems more effectively. Self-care involves small daily actions that help you feel better. Eating healthy foods and drinking lots of water throughout the day can maintain your energy levels as well. Regular exercise, avoiding alcohol or drugs, exploring relaxation techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or yoga, or just spending time with family and friends. All of these are super important. Engaging in hobbies or activities you enjoy and getting a good night's sleep is also beneficial. These practices can stimulate the production of natural hormones that counteract stress.